This is The David Lehman Show.
North Georgia's own News Talk. 97.5 and 1230 on your AM dial. I am David Lehman. This is The David Lehman Show, and I'm in the studio again with Paul Riley, which is always my pleasure to do. And before we get started today, I don't know if anybody saw, well, I know somebody saw, but I don't know if you've seen, who's listening. Yoko Ono is apparently an artist, and she's in a London, it looked like a museum or art place of sorts. And the latest exhibit, it's getting a lot of fanfare, and there was media coverage and cameras, things, people, and prices. She's got, get this, 3 piles of dirt. This this is this is what constitutes art these days. In front of the 3 piles, there's kind of like a darkish brown pile, and a little darker and then a little lighter. It says Country A, Country B, and Country C, and a little sign on the war, which is a throwback to, I think, World War II, which was no more war, and that was it. Just lovely.
And how much for the dirt, Dave?
I don't know that it was actually on sale. I think this was just like an exhibition of her talents, if you think. And that's the thing with artwork. I don't necessarily like love art or whatever, but at least I need to, when I look at it, recognize some sort of talent. And when I look at 3 piles of dirt, I'm sorry, I don't see any talent. I see 3 piles of dirt.
Well, she probably had to pick out all the rocks. That takes time.
There were no rocks.
Right, that's what I'm saying. She probably invested a lot of time.
Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, I thought you meant pick them out, like choose the perfect rocks for the scenery.
No, she removed the rocks.
She removed the rocks. And if that wasn't sufficiently tantalizing, if you just didn't get your fill looking at 3 piles of dirt, in the other room, she had what looked to be World War II helmets, a military, helmets that you wore so a bullet didn't pierce your brain, hanging by fishing wire, upside down. In a room, like 3, 4, 5 of them in a room, hanging by fishing wire upside down, and inside held a secret surprise: a blue jigsaw puzzle, pieces of a blue jigsaw puzzle, and this is art. Well,
I guess to each his own.
How people do it, I'll never know. Anyway, that was far off topic, and Paul, I got a little surprise for you. I've developed a scenario in my own little head I think you're going to absolutely love, okay? It offers boundless fodder for this show and coffee shop conversation alike. Romney, in order to secure the presidency, and I think he can secure it this way, reaches across the aisle and offers the Lizard Queen, Hillary, the VP slot. What say you?
That it's so far out of left field. I couldn't imagine that would ever work.
Well, it would certainly work if it happened, right? I mean, you would coalesce the nation, so to speak.
So if we're going to suspend disbelief and say both would want their respected, Romney to think of asking her and her to agree to be vice president,
right?
Well, a divided kind of ticket sometimes in the past has been used by presidents. They put people that are their biggest enemies on their cabinets.
And what does it do?
Well, it helped them, but I don't think that was the decision why they voted for him at the time, or maybe at least not to a large extent.
Barack Obama had a big fight on his hand with Hillary Clinton. I mean, it was kind of sort of neck and neck back and forth. But a lot of people that wanted Hillary Clinton, when she wasn't available on the ticket, they moved to Barack Obama. So she still carries, I believe, a pretty large base, mostly women, but even so, a pretty large base of voters.
I agree, but after that first 4 years, or let's say Romney, goes 8 years, you think she's going to run for president and then go back to the Democratic ticket?
I don't know what's going to happen.
That gets in her way of her master plan.
Again, I'm just throwing this scenario out because, frankly, I believe that philosophically they're both cut from the same cloth. I know you don't believe that, but I don't believe there would be too many things that they disagreed on getting into and quote-unquote running the country, if you will. So it would certainly make for interesting political season if it's not sufficiently interesting enough already.
Yeah, I think that this late in the game, something like that, it would create a firestorm. But like you said, if it happened, I suppose anything's possible.
Anything really is possible. I just can't imagine the Romney Clinton ticket losing. I just can't imagine it.
Well, hopefully there's a second good choice that he'll come up with.
I wish there were a first good choice, but apparently that's gone to the.
Well, if you're saying 6 1/2 dozen the other, Dave, I don't know if I can help you. Nothing will look good.
Are you from the government? Are you here to help?
Yeah, I'm here to help. Exactly.
Fabulous. And this global warming thing, Paul. I'll admit to some climate change, but I don't even want to get into that thing. We'll save that talk for another show. But the Bank of America, Bank of Amigo, has pledged $50 billion in the quote-unquote fight in the war against climate change. And I found it more than a little ironic that in the recent bailout, the Bank of America got $45 billion. So is this perhaps an end run of initiating a whole climate change policy by using the bailout money that they get? Like, here's some bailout money. You don't really need to be bailed out, but you're going to use this money later on for the war on climate change. Is it an end run?
Oh yeah, it was vote buying to begin with, and to grease the all the political parties and people that are running get to funnel money back to them. It's just like how the unions work. You have the forced dues deduction by the state. They take that money and they pay people to be part of the unions, and they use that money to give back to the Democrats.
Back to the unions, right? It's a vicious cycle.
Yeah, I see it as the same way. Circle. It's just like GM using all that bailout money to do all kinds of things, building the cars that they want them to build, even though nobody wants them, and they melt in the garage every so often.
Someone somewhere will want them. Did you see the new Chevy Volt? The thing is getting it's a $50,000 price tag on this car, but it gets like 200 miles a gallon.
I hadn't heard the 200 mile a gallon scenario.
That's really the only thing, because a Chevy Volt is one of those cars you don't walk away from, you run away from. But at 200 miles a gallon, you could at least, you look at it quizzically and raise an eyebrow and say, well, damn, that's kind of good mileage.
Well, then I'd have to rerun my return on investment numbers, but from what I've gathered, it never works out.
It wouldn't work out for that either.
Because your batteries probably wouldn't last long enough to ever get back to, it's probably cost you $10,000 for a set of batteries. It's like
printers, your home printer. It's like $10 for the printer. It's fabulous and big and beautiful. You go to replace those cartridges, that'll be $60, right. Sucker. Oh, just terrible. Okay, you done chit-chatting now?
Yes.
We have a show to do here.
I apologize. I digress.
You digress. You verbose. I'd like to dig in on the rising Eastern Dragon, China. And then head west, I don't know, whatever it is, 3,000, 4,000 miles, and land in Tehran, Iran.
That's the camel flies.
Yes, that's the camel flies.
Yes, well.
Okay. China. Whatever kind of wars and stuff we're involved in the Middle East are going to pale in comparison to what may eventually wind up happening with China. Now, so far as the bone of contention and the political hot-stepping that we do with China is really over Taiwan. And Taiwan, just a little island, it's a renegade, what China considers to be a renegade province, one that broke away from China, and they want to take it back, and they'll take it back militarily if they have to. But it's been all these years, why have they not taken back Taiwan?
Well, because they know that it'll start World War III, and we've promised to protect Taiwan.
Well, we didn't exactly promise, because the United States has what's I don't know if it's literally known as this, but if it's not, it ought to be. It's the policy of deliberate obfuscation as regards.
What the heck is that?
Exactly. It's as regards Taiwan, which is the United States didn't clearly say we would defend Taiwan. We consider Taiwan an ally. We have it listed on the map as Taiwan, separate from China, not part of the People's Republic. And the United States may or may not engage militarily with the Chinese should they try to commandeer that island and take it over again. How about that?
Well, they haven't done it up to this point, so my guess is they think we will defend it.
Well, if the United States is feeling crotchety one day, they wake up on the wrong side of the bed. They're like, whatever. Right? It's time. Let's go protect Taiwan. Then China's going to have to deal with us. So you're right. Just the very idea that the United States may step in to squash the Chinese going to take over Taiwan has been enough of a deterrent already to keep them from taking over that country. Now, China has said, it's almost a face-saving method, they have said that should Taiwan purchase or employ or use or own any offensive weaponry, that's an act of war, and in we're coming. We don't care who's coming. We don't care if the whole world's coming to your rescue. You point one little gun at one little tiny little pea shooter at the mainland China. We're coming to get you. So Taiwan, at this point, doesn't have any offensive weaponry, but it's got plenty of defensive weaponry. So it's got, surface-to-air missiles and anti-tank and anti-people and anti-everything.
Well, Russia doesn't even allow that. They don't even want defense of the missile defense shield. They're totally against it.
Wait, Russia's too far north. You're moving me way over there. So Taiwan is kind of in a pickle, but let me ask you this. Should we really be involved in mainland China and Taiwan's affairs? Isn't that a Chinese-Taiwan affair?
Like you said, they're a ally of ours, and the United States' history has always been to protect our friends, and Taiwan, I'm sure, is strategically very important. And we always have financial interests. We're not worried about Chad invading Niger or things like that. We don't have a financial interest or stake at it. But Taiwan is one of the richest countries per capita for its size, and it happens to be next to China, and we'd always like to have a base over there, I'm guessing.
What, can we use Australia, please? Just put them down with the Aussies and the kangaroos. Come on.
Yeah, but as of right now, they're always saying the South China Sea or whatever it is theirs too, and they're building up their navy much better than the Chinese, and we're getting rid of our navy.
Well, not exactly. The Chinese are definitely, at least historically, expansionistic. They like to grow and grow.
What communists do.
Conquer territories. Mm-hmm. So obviously they're going to, at some point... the fact that they've just said outright, you point something offensive at us and we're coming in, we don't care who's doing it. It's in a way, it's thumbing their nose at the United States and its, quote, policies. They've always made and so China, I would guess, 7-10 years behind us technologically? Militarily, technologically, would you think? They
got us beat by numbers, but
right.
Yeah, I guess.
And at the rate of growth and development, and the amount of money and the amount of interest, they consider us, the United States, their number one enemy. So with the amount of money that they're pouring into the military, they're constantly trying to buck the system, if you will. And they've got ships in the lanes, all in the North China Sea and the Strait of Taiwan. Their military, they have a presence, a force, in an intimidating fashion, if you will. And we've got our stuff, there. Again, Leon Panetta just said the other day, by 2020, roughly 75% of our Navy is going to be over in that area. What does that tell you?
They anticipate the need to have
problems.
Well, yeah, sure. Or, we're always trying to be prepared. We're always have the contingency plans. And this is not a nice, the world's a rough place, and we have a lot of enemies.
Again, I got to ask you though, how many interventions do we need to get involved in that do not affect our national interest? Yes, I like Taiwan. Yes, they make cool silicon chips. But how many lives and how many billions of dollars do you think it's worth it to defend them? North Korea moves into South Korea. We need to go over there and defend them. It's just, it almost seems like it's never ending. We have just way too many complicated allegiances, if you will. Who the hell is going to come to our defense, by the way? When Russia, China, Syria, and Iran all to get together for their military games, which are going on in the Middle East this week.
Well, I hope they enjoy their games. Play nice, everybody.
Play nicely, everybody.
But we're the last offender. We're the last great, country on earth, and we protect, countries that we've promised to defend. And, that's the way it works.
Yeah, but these strategic alliances are starting to mount up on us. And it's going to, the terms in treasures and live is just a little rough. In my opinion. Anyway, we will be right back in a 2-minute quick break. Sit tight. Welcome back. WJUL, this is the David Lehman Show in the studio today with Paul Riley, and we are discussing the rising Eastern Dragon, also known as China, and its military implications and what's going on with Taiwan, which has been going on with Taiwan, and basically that the United States may or may not protect Taiwan should China go to recapture it or reclaim it, since they consider it a renegade province. And Paul kind of thinks we ought to get on in there since they're an ally. Of course, we're allies with virtually everybody, so I guess that means we're responsible to fight everybody else's war, which is more or less bankrupting us. But that's aside. We have our allies. They're important.
National defense is not bankrupting.
That's not national defense. That's other people's defense. That's not our national defense. That's OPND, other people's national defense.
Not in my hemisphere. No.
Oh, that was a spin-off of NIMBY. Very
Yes.
good, Paul.
Well.
See, you got the moves like Riley. Conversationally. I say it again.
No, we have much bigger problems than worrying about our, us sending ships to different parts of the world. That is a drop in the bucket.
By the way, speaking of sending ships to a different part of the world, the Navy, God bless them, the U.S. Navy, holy mackerel. These guys have developed and they have slated 27 of these new boats, all at the whopping price that they say of a little over $1 billion per boat. But they're not just any kind of boat. They're a super quiet, radar-resistant, massive technological, just killing machine. And
hoo-ha!
It would look on Chinese radar, and they go right up to the shore. And they could just coast along the shore, and so far as someone sitting behind a Chinese radar machine would look at the boat, and it would make about the same wake as a small fishing boat. And meanwhile, it's this huge mammoth monster. Now, at $1 billion apiece, of course, tough to get the financing for all those. So they had 27 slated, then they were down to 8, and now I think there's going to be actually 3. But the more interesting thing is the boat is almost designed specifically for the China-Taiwan scenario.
Well, I call that smart.
I call it smart too, but it's kind of, it kind of worries me. It's foreboding in some way. Not boating, for B-O-D, not B-O-A-T.
Foreboding.
Foreboding. I'm foreboding, are you?
Dave, I can think of 1,000 things more important than worrying about this, because we're always supposed to maintain superiority, overwhelming force.
Right.
We have to, and that includes space as well. Our job is to stay far ahead of everybody else.
And that's not going to always be the case. At some point, we're not going to be the superpower anymore. The Chinese have too much money, too big an interest. They have we can't keep up economically.
So we should just stop now and cut defense because it's not worth it, because we're going to get our butts kicked? I doubt, Dave. I disagree.
I'm sorry. I think we ought to put our money into defense that's actually defense of us, not defense of others. That's what I think.
So the Straits of Hormuz, and where all 80% of the world's oil goes through right now, right across from Iran, we shouldn't defend that. It's not here in this country. So what does it matter to us? That's
look. You're trying to paint a picture that isn't actually accurate. Why
okay.
you're looking at me
the
with
Strait of Hormuz
with those big the Strait of Hormuz? Yeah, so they put their little bombs in there, so the ships go through and blow up. But it really seems to me like a whole world problem. If 80% of the oil goes through there, why are we shouldering the bulk of it? Why do we always shoulder the bulk of it financially and the loss of lives of our citizens? Why is it always? That's always like the default position. Oh, America will take care of this. Well, let's have America fight our battles for us. South Koreans don't need to worry about the North Koreans because we've got 50,000 people sitting in the DMZ ready to defend. I mean, enough is enough. Too much war. Let's give war a chance, Paul. Let's give war a chance.
Look, Dave, once again, we have people that, we defend, and that's the way America's always been. We're the only ones that have the ability to stand up and take care of it. And just like in World War II, nobody wanted to go to war. Everybody was, saying isolations, let's stay over here. But we'd all be having a slight German accent right now if we had not stepped in.
I'm not saying that war isn't necessary. I just think we need to be a little bit more selective as opposed to just the war being default. But at any rate, we're supposed to cruise a couple thousand miles west and visit Tehran, but we're running kind of low on time. Do you want to dive into Iran now, or should I just break your chops a little bit more? And
well, throw a couple last-second barbs at me, Dave. Go right ahead. I'm ready. I'm ready to hear your next.
You were born ready. I'm not throwing them at you. I'm just trying to elucidate, if you will, my thinking.
Put down the thesaurus,
my thinking on
Dave.
it. Yes, I know the America has always this, but America's changing. If you haven't looked, like for instance, I was at the bank today. And little note, your savings are insured up to $250,000 with the full faith and credit of the United States government. I'm like, that just doesn't breed the kind of confidence it once did. Kind of like, give me something a little more.
My mattress is safer, probably.
Well, yeah, who knows? But have you bought any gold, by the way?
No, I received a gold filling a while back, but that's my total gold investment.
Oh, that's a big cha-ching, Paul. Now I'll know where to get mine if I need some. Oh, funny stuff. Yeah,
I was giving you the 20-second to walk out. Was I supposed to close it out?
You can always close it out, Paul. Nobody brings it down. Nobody closes it out. Nobody wraps it up as much as you. Thank you for joining us today. This is the David Lehman Show. We will be back next week on WJUL News Talk.